It's difficult to think about Star Wars without thinking about Luke Skywalker, a familiar name to even the biggest haters of the IP. Of course, when an entire multi-decade franchise begins with you as its main protagonist, it's no shocker that you are one of the most recognizable fictional names on the face of the planet. If you're familiar with myself and my content, you'll know that Luke is amongst my favorite characters to appear in Star Wars. Now, here and there throughout my other videos, you can pick up some of my reasons behind my love for this character. Within those are plenty of commonly shared reasons and some that are rather near and dear to my heart. In the metaphorical sense of what Luke represents, it is my hope to give you a greater insight to what exactly those are. I believe it's only fair that I warn you, the likelihood of me shedding a few tears during this video is fairly high. I actually talked about myself crying over this concept during a recent stream that I started doing every Wednesday. A little shameless self-promo, if you want to catch the next one live, they're at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, like I said, Wednesdays. But I wasn't kidding about crying, I probably will, so please bear with me. I don't expect any of this to be uniquely profound for really anyone. My goal is more to share my heart and my love for this character with you. Just like the greater goal of my channel is to do the same thing with all of Star Wars in hopes of finding new and common appreciation and shared joy. Now, when I think about Luke, there's always one place my mind goes. To set the scene, I always try to walk into his shoes. Taking into consideration his life during the original trilogy, born on Tatooine, raised by his aunt and uncle, he had plenty of natural giftings and aspirations, but didn't know how he was going to utilize those in a meaningful way. Like being a good pilot and wanting to go off-world to the academy to make something of himself. Right away, Luke is very relatable to most people. Sure, we don't have the Force, but we all likely feel to a degree a significant level of capacity to do something with our lives. And even more relatable, we don't know how to make use of those abilities given our circumstances. Moving on to his discovery of the Force and his own innate attunement to it, along with the guidance Luke receives from Kenobi, he starts to find affirmation of those internal thoughts and ambitions. This can be a point of disconnect for many of us, as I know having someone who not only believes in you, but also knows how to help guide you can feel like a rare resource. So perhaps Luke's story shifts to one greater, inspiring what you hope for in your life than one that you currently relate to. The hope of discovered purpose, just like he begins to have. This, of course, all leads to a wonderfully epic and fantastical adventure filled with risk, friendship, love, trials, and most of all, hope. Key ingredients to a life well lived. With his story in mind, I always come to what I think is his greatest trial. In the midst of his life stream unraveling before him, he has friendship, he has mentorship, he's experienced significant loss, he has learned real ways to utilize his talents, and has started to grow into what is shaping up to be a huge role in the fate of the galaxy. There's a single moment that brings all of that to a screeching halt. Darth Vader reveals the hardest truth Luke would ever have to face, the truth of his father. What I also find so important to consider here is that Vader was very infamous everywhere in the galaxy at this point. He was the Emperor's big, bad, scary executioner. Basically, no one knew the true capabilities of Palpatine. Everything when it comes to the galaxy's perception of raw, unstoppable power was rooted in his right hand, Vader. Yes, of course, he controlled the Empire and its military and now had the big, scary Death Star and such, but Vader's name was truly the nightmare of many. Luke, like everyone else, was not blind to the nature of that monster. In fact, per his first real mentor, Obi-Wan, Luke believed Vader betrayed and murdered his father. In Luke's eyes, Anakin died a valiant hero of the Clone Wars to a dark, twisted machine of a man. It's really important we take into account Anakin's failures because I know Luke had to. As the viewers, we have a bit more insight than Luke, but I like to believe he came to know all of this as well eventually. Anakin betrayed, in some sense, his mother, his brother and mentor, his apprentice, his wife, his future children, and the galaxy he swore to protect, his peers, and nearly everyone, all for, understandable to a degree, but ultimately very selfish reasons. He brutally murdered likely hundreds if not thousands of individuals with his own hands, and certainly millions as a result of his own choices and orders. Darth Vader was a ruthless, torturous, tyrannical killer. As far as the galaxy was concerned, he was the face of true evil. Luke was basically peaking in life at this point in time. To only have his world shattered with a few words, the very essence of what he built his truth on was taken out from under him. His mentor, Ben, lied to him, and for what reason? To protect him? His father wasn't a hero betrayed by a monster. His father was the betraying monster. What else was a lie? And where does this leave him? The poster boy of the rebellion, son to the Emperor's fist. Which brings me to my main point. Luke had no shortage of reasons to reject Vader and the revelation presented by him. Not a single soul would have questioned him for denouncing a mere shell of what was once his father and moving on. In fact, he was greatly encouraged to not confront Darth at all. What I find so amazing about Luke is at the peak of Vader's true evil nature, he saw good in him. With full knowledge of who the machine of a man had become, the treachery he caused, Luke saw beyond the mistakes and wrongdoing, beyond the mask, and deep enough to hear the cries of a sad and truly broken man, Anakin, Luke's true father. What's so great about this is it reflects and illustrates the severe importance of those close to us in life, what truly they can bring out in us. Luke was the catalyst for the return of the Jedi that was his father, who I'm sure could not see any good left in himself, stuck in a perpetual self-hatred and vicious cycle of pain. All it took was one person to simply see the goodness in him in a moment of true beauty through redemption. Anakin is able to see his son with his own eyes, knowing that Luke loved him, not despite of his evil, but in light of it, because hope is a belief in the unlikely good. I won't lie, I kept it together pretty well during that last bit. That's where I was most concerned about breaking down and crying. Usually when I talk about this, I bawl my eyes out. The redemption story between Luke and Anakin is so beautiful. I think it helped that I script out the videos and I had already read this a few times. I cried while I was writing it. I cried thinking about it, so I must have just got it all in my system most of the way. Either way, I'm really glad you all could be here for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to hear what you all think. Is this a relatable thing to you? Do you have this similar experience with Luke and that story? I feel like it's pretty common, but I don't know. I'm just curious. So let me know. Hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you in the next video.